Good evening. Tonight, I wanted to talk to you about the subject of werewolves. Maybe not literal werewolves where a man goes out in the woods after being bitten by one and transforms into some kind of an upright walking canine, a beast, but things that resemble a werewolf, at least in their transformation stage of what people have talked about in history for thousands of years. And in North America, we call these the Dogmen. And it seems really far fetched, but people are seeing these things. And when I first started hearing about this a few years ago, I wasn't quite sure what to make of it. Now, like a lot of you, I was into Bigfoot. I still am into Bigfoot, and it's a big part of this channel. Sasquatch, hundreds of thousands of sightings a year. We have lots of evidence. Most skeptics say we don't, but if you follow this channel or into it, we have lots of evidence. And I've had encounters, and lots of people have had encounters. And when it comes to an upright walking ape, well, humans are an upright walking ape. There's lots of things in the fossil record going all the way back to Homo erectus and Homo habilis and Heidelbergensis and Aflatorensis, all the different Homo species. So there is some idea of a upright walking ape being out there. Now, a lot of these Dogman reports, we'll call them Dogman here. We'll get into werewolf history in a little bit here. But for the most part, they have a canine-like leg with the extended forepaw, with a digigrade, not a plantigrade-like structure, with the knee forward and the ankle pointing back. They have a normal hinged-like leg that you'd see on a dog, but they are spotted to be upright, still slightly hunched over. But these things are described as being 7, 8, 9, 10 foot tall, upright walking canine with German Shepherd-like head. Some people describe them with more of a hyena-type head, short snouts, longer snouts, a lot of variations like you would see in pretty much like in dogs. Pointy ears sometimes are described, most of the time are described, sometimes smaller ears. Some people say they look like a big German Shepherd or a wolf. Some people say they look more like a baboon size head. Always reported to be very intimidating, and there's a lot of people who feel that these things are definitely more evil and demonic in nature. And there's lots of reports and stories, as fantastic as it seems. Normal people, especially across the border, a lot of migrants coming here from America or coming to America, see these things, and Border Patrol agents, law enforcement. There's lots of records of people seeing these things, and they are out there. They're all across the South, even going up north into the U.S., but you can mostly get a lot of reports in the South, even from California. And, down south they have the legends of the Rougarou, and even the Choctaw and Chickasaw tribes describe them as Bigfoots and Dogmen having war. If you're familiar with this channel, we've talked about it a lot, and you probably believe, or at very least open-minded in these things. And what's so unsettling is that they don't match up with anything that we know about. And we have no record of this. Sure, we have dogs and wolves, but an upright walking, 6, 7, 800 pound dogman type beast, that just defies logic. But then again, people are seeing them and people are describing them across the board. Now, when we get into traditional werewolf stories, that's when, a man who has been bitten by something or on a full moon and can be killed by a silver bullet, the whole thing you see in the movies, they transform into a dog-headed beast, bloodthirsty canine type creature. And all over Europe, and even going back to the Egyptians with Anubis, there's always been a lot of history and talk of dog-headed creatures and dog-headed men, and that they were protectors and guardians or demons. There's a lot of different stories about them. Native American cultures here in the United States talk a lot about them. They usually don't have anything good to say. Sometimes they're associated with skinwalkers. Either the skinwalkers can wear the skins and partially transform, or, trick people into seeing them. So they're often described as not being good by the native cultures in any sense of the word. So something as extraordinary as claiming there's an upright walking canine living in packs, traveling the United States of tremendous size, preying on animals, livestock, people, requires a lot of extraordinary evidence. Now, just like with Bigfoot, there's a lot of ideas that the government knows about these things and that they necessarily don't want this coming out because there's a lot of theories that they occasionally do take people, just like a lot of other wild animals occasionally eat people. And so when it comes to evidence, there's been some footprint evidence. A lot has come out in the last, say, 6 months or to a year. I think a lot of people would dismiss something as being odd. Are now starting to look at it like, well, maybe this is something else. And some of the pictures you're seeing here, a lot of them are described as being like a giant dog track or giant wolf track, which you would be understandable if that's the creature we're describing. And some of them look like a half-breed, almost like a giant raccoon track, like a dog track, but with a bit longer toes and a bit longer paw, but not anywhere near like a Bigfoot or like a human track would be, like somewhere in the middle, which would also be understandable. And much like with Bigfoot, they're described to be different varieties and different looks of them. And so that could possibly be it. There's 3-toed tracks, there's 5-toed tracks that are found, 4-toed tracks. Mostly, though, the most common size ones you'll see are 4-toed tracks with kind of an elongated dog type look to it. But there are a lot of strange tracks out there that could be attributed to these animals. We simply just don't know enough. But when people are seeing these things and they find things like here with big giant scratch marks on this tree here, and there's a Coke can for scale, which is excellent. When people have visual encounters, when an area has been known to have them for many, many years, and you find some exceedingly large dog or wolf track that's maybe misshapen or stretched out a little further than you would think, that makes me think that possibly a dogman, one of these creatures have left them. I mean, you don't know for sure. That's one thing about a track. You don't know what made it unless you physically saw what made it, but it's definitely good secondary supporting evidence. So as you can imagine, finding good photo evidence of a dogman or werewolf or rougarou, whatever you want to call these things, is exceedingly difficult. Much harder than it would be for Bigfoot, because there's tons of images of Bigfoot out there. I feel the Bigfoot populations are a lot higher than these things. And Bigfoots are a lot more curious with humans. So when it comes to good photo evidence, like the picture you saw previously and this one reported to be a dogman skull, they're all kind of suspect. Now, I'm not discrediting these photos, but I'm not saying they're real either. Some people will probably leave in the comments, oh, that one's a known fake, this one's a known fake. Well, this is just popular images you'll find on the internet. Some of them have backstory and context. There's some good stuff on there. Bigfoot Tony, go check out his channel. He's got one of Dogman in the bushes. It's very cool. It's probably one of the best ones I've ever seen, and you can kind of see these long ear tufts in it moving and looking around in there. It's pretty cool. Now, when it comes to fossil record and supposing, like we were saying, there really is no fit for these things. And from what I've heard, pretty much they are at the top of the food chain. They're kind of right up there with Bigfoot, like an apex predator. I'm sure they would have no problem taking out a black bear, especially a smaller one. Probably a big male black bear they would probably avoid, but when you're 8, 9, 10 foot tall and 600, 700 pounds and you got huge claws and huge fangs, even a 300 or 400 pound bear is probably not that big a deal. You could probably take them out depending on how hungry they are. So here's some good size comparisons. A lot of people report them 7 or 8 foot tall, generally a bit bigger than a human, which is scary enough. And some people report them even bigger, getting up to upwards of like 10 feet tall. Usually those are the alphas, because these have been known to run in packs. I did a video a couple months ago called The 7 Types of Dogmen. And it's 2 different categories. One's with a more human-like leg and one's with a canine-like leg. Some look like a German Shepherd. Ones look more like a wolf. Some have real broad shoulders. Some look like a hyena. So there seems to be a lot of variation with these things. Now, there's all sorts of theories out there, and I'll call them a little bit out there, but I'm not going to discredit them. This is more about reporting that they're some kind of genetic hybrid, that maybe there's ones that have been around a long time and the government has tampered with them. Because there's a lot of people that say these things are a government hybrid or experiment, but that doesn't, account for the stories that are 300 or 400 years old or thousands of years old of these things. So the bottom line is, wherever they came from, whatever they are, supernatural, physical, whatever caused these things, government manipulated, some freak of nature, the Nephilim, fallen angels, straight out of hell, or some freak natural occurrence. These things are out there. People are reporting them. People are scared to death of them. I don't blame them. Even if you think this is all hogwash, even if you don't think this is real, please stay safe in the woods out there, folks. The truth to me is that these things do exist. And if you feel I deserve it, please give this video a thumbs up. And please subscribe if you haven't already, and share it. Post it to your Facebook, your Instagram, whatever you can do. Twitter, get the word out there, because I do feel that these things are dangerous. Thank you very much.